Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Ball Oasis Show. We got the late night episode going tonight, running on about midnight, but we had to get this thing done. So we're post All-Star break now. We've gotten into the the final third of the season. The teams are pretty much like concrete what they're going to look like going into the postseason, roster-wise, and looks like coaching staff-wise, outside of like the Atlanta Hawks, who just got rid of Nate McMillan yesterday. So we've got the idea of, like, personnel-wise, what we're going to be looking at. Coming down the stretch, it's going to be interesting to see, who can go on a run, who, falls off a little bit and gets hot and cold going into the playoffs. So this episode, we're going to do, like, our rankings like we usually do, like the power rankings, but we're going to do a tier list this time because, the postseason is fast approaching, and I think that it would be better to get a good idea of who the real contenders are and who might be, frauds, rather than place a number before a team this deep in the season. Jacob, you think that's a good idea to go about this one today?
Yeah, I like it. I think it'll be a lot more fun because we'll probably debate about some teams maybe eventually, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea how close we are to the playoffs.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, Jacob, I want to get your thoughts because we didn't discuss it much, and I saw a lot of discourse about the All-Star weekend as a whole, the product maybe not being what it has been in the past, of course. What were your thoughts, Jacob, about the All-Star weekend in Utah as a whole?
I enjoyed like the Rising Stars game and the Saturday night, the Skills Challenge, 3-point contest, dunk contest. But the actual All-Star game was kind of disappointing for me. A lot of people said that it just really wasn't fun to watch. Which, I mean, I understand. I don't blame the players for playing on how they did. Just kind of make it fun to watch, I guess, because they no defense walking around. They were letting Tatum and Brown or Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown 1v1 a lot of it, which was fun to watch for me. But yeah, just the game in general wasn't really fun. It was like no defense. Nobody was trying until the fourth quarter when the target score came up. But other than that, it was I enjoyed everything else.
Yeah, talking about the All-Star game, my biggest gripe with the All-Star game wasn't even the on-court play. Because, I mean, we see that every year, at least a little bit. We had that one year where Kyle Lowry was taking charges, and I think that kind of put an unrealistic expectation in people's heads of what the All-Star game should be, which, I mean, would be nice to see, of course, but you're not going to see guys, laying their bodies on the line for an All-Star game.
Yeah.
But my biggest gripe was just that players didn't play. And I know the injuries, of course, played a part of that. But,
yeah.
I mean, you had LeBron come out of the game to start the second half. Giannis played literally like 10 seconds.
10 seconds, yeah.
And, stepped off. You had Curry out, Kawhi Leonard, who would probably be an all-star if he was playing. Jimmy Butler would likely be an all-star if he played the entire season. Devin Booker out, Kevin Durant out, of course. So many guys who make this league what it is, missing from the All-Star game. And, I mean, part of this is inevitable. But the ones who I feel like could have played didn't really give what they could have, I feel like. And I think that contributed to the product being a little underwhelming from an All-Star game perspective. I didn't watch much of Friday night. I watched just bits and pieces of the Rising Stars game.
Yeah.
Saw, Jose Alvarado do his thing. That was pretty cool. Saturday night was decent. Saturday night was pretty decent, I would say. The skills competition was not good. It was bad.
I don't like the format. Yeah, I don't like the new format of it. That's my biggest thing. I don't like that 3-team format.
Yeah, with the whole Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, it's been them for 2 years, and then the city's team, and then just another group.
If I to see Thanasis Antetokounmpo go through that challenge again, I think I'm going to put my eyeballs out.
Yeah.
No offense to him, but he doesn't step on the floor in the regular season. This is supposed to be a competition for guys who have multiple levels to their game, Yeah. So, I don't like how the skills competition has been going the last couple of years. 3-point contest was decent. We didn't really have a crazy round, I would say, outside of Tyrese Halliburton's first round.
Yeah.
But it was good to see Dame, of course, bring home the 3-point crown this year, in a place where he's familiar in Utah, where he went to college. So that was good to see, especially for me as a fan as well. And the dunk contest, Mac McClung carried. He did carry, of course, but it was fun to watch Mac McClung do what he did.
Yeah, I like some of Trey Murphy's dunks, but yeah, Mac really carried that dunk contest.
Yeah. Trey Murphy was good. Trey Murphy was good too. I think that he was a good competitor to go up against him. But of course, like they mentioned on the broadcast, his height was going to take away from some of his dunks. But the tomahawk windmill joint that he did, that was one of my favorite dunks of the night. I really liked that one. Plus the presentation where he was asking the crowd, should I do a tomahawk or should I do a windmill? I was like, is he really asking to do like one of these? And he came out and he did both. And that was a dunk that I've never seen before. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like go ahead, finish.
Out of all of the Mac McClung dunks, I'm going to ask you this question real quick. What was your favorite Mac McClung dunk?
Probably, I think it was his first one where he jumped over the two people and bounced it. Yeah. I didn't first watching it. The camera's like on their back, so I didn't even notice that he tapped the ball first until the replay.
Yeah.
So that was I enjoyed that one, and I kind of like that he didn't need a second attempt on any dunk. He got every dunk on the first attempt, which I think was pretty cool to watch, and you don't really see that often or haven't in a while. But yeah, after that first dunk after that dunk, I was like, yeah, I think he's got it. That first dunk.
Yeah, you could tell that he came with a vengeance because, like you said, he went 4 for 4, and I thought that he should have got all 50s on each of his dunks. Lisa Leslie slided him on the second one. But yeah, the first dunk was my favorite as well. I didn't realize he tapped the glass. When I realized he did that, I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, I watched the replay. I think I watched the replay a few times. I was like, I did not. You couldn't even tell he tapped it with the original dunk.
Yeah, well, he definitely got social media fired up because people asking like, Mac McClung should be on an NBA team because of what he just did in the slam dunk competition. I mean, he plays for your team, Jacob. What would you think of Mac McClung, coming up to the Sixers? I'm sure Doc Rivers wouldn't give him any run, but
no, he wouldn't see the floor.
Yeah.
We'd have to be getting blown out by 30 with a minute left for him to get in, and I doubt that would happen. But yeah, I don't think he would play at all.
Yeah, Sixers might as well release him and like let him go to like Charlotte or like Houston or like San Antonio and just get some minutes, just get some highlights in before the season. Might as well.
I'm gonna say, do you think he would even get run on any team? Maybe
one of those teams. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Something to like put fans in the stands too for those teams, like who are desperately needing it at this point of the season. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, it has to be one of those teams, but I don't know if it'll happen. I wouldn't mind it to happen, but
I mean, we had that stint at the end of last season with the Lakers where he had. I remember that game against the Nuggets that they finished out I think it was like the very last game of the season where the Lakers are already out of playoff competition, where the game went to overtime, I think, and he finished the game with like a double pump reverse.
Yeah,
and I remember that highlight went crazy. It was kind of funny though that they tried to act like people had never heard of him before. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, everybody's heard of him.
Yeah, and I've known about him since high school, and I'm sure even if people that haven't known about him, because of last year and whatnot. But yeah, the All-Star Weekend as a whole, if I had to give it a grade, I would probably give it like a C.
Yeah.
Probably like a C plus, something like that.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. C minus.
I think it was better than last year's. I think last year's was the dunk contest was bad last year. The skills competition was bad. The 3-point competition was, it was all right.
Yeah.
I don't remember much about Curry. Curry went off the All-Star game last year. That was the redeeming factor about last year's All-Star game.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I've seen the idea floating around that they should like have a reward for it to make the players want to play. You've probably seen it where it goes back to the East versus West and the finals. If the conference that win, I think like how baseball did it before, but I don't see anything changing for it.
Yeah, and it is kind of interesting to see some players like Jaylen Brown come out and speak about it. Someone who played in the game say that the All-Star game product is not good right now.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that the players are in on it too. It's not just the fans who want to see a little more competition, I guess. But yeah, All-Star Weekend, decent in Utah, but we're here at the start of the second half of the season. So let's just go ahead, Jacob, and let's jump into these tiers. We've got about, I guess, 25, 24, 23 games left in the regular season before the play-in. The second week of April begins before the playoffs. So let's just go ahead and start with our bottom tiers, Jacob. The bottom tier, the teams who are tanking, obviously, I figure we'll have the same teams for this tier. We don't need to talk about them very much. The Wembanyama sweepstakes. I've got San Antonio, Detroit, Charlotte, Houston, and Orlando here. Those are my 5 teams.
Yeah, I got same teams.
Yeah. Wembanyama sweepstakes, if you miss out on Wembanyama, you've got Scoot Henderson, you've got Brandon Miller. I'm excited to talk about the NBA draft because I've done a lot of college basketball watching over the past couple of weeks. So I've got some ammo on that. And I know the whole thing with Brandon Miller right now is going on, but Brandon Miller is if he's beats whatever he's going through right now, I think he has a strong case to take that number 2 pick spot from Scoot Henderson. Depending on the team, I think Brandon Miller's the truth.
Yeah, I've watched some. I need to watch more. I've got more into it lately. I've watched him a few games, and he's really good for both of them games.
Yeah. I think Orlando has a significantly better record than the other 4 teams here.
Yeah,
I think so, at least, because I know last time I checked, Orlando had won like 23 games or something going into the All-Star break, and the other teams had won like 15.
They had a good stretch. It was like
they won like 5 or 6 in a row at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, it was a few stretches they've had. I'm trying to pull it up. They're only 4 games behind the 10 seed, but yeah, they're not trying to win. But they're only a few games behind. Huh?
I said they won't catch up.
No, they won't. But they're only a few games behind Chicago and Indiana.
But yeah, those 4 teams at the bottom, San Antonio, Detroit, Charlotte, and Houston, will be the 4 in contention for that number 1 overall pick. Out of those 4 teams, Jacob, since we're talking about bottom dwellers here, who do you think at this point could use Victor Wembanyama the most?
Charlotte.
You think Charlotte does more than San Antonio?
I said between the 2, but I think it'd be better. Team wise, to help the team, I think it'd be Charlotte. Give LaMelo Ball another guy, so they can finally try to compete eventually. But San Antonio would be a good move for San Antonio too, to start building around him, building around Vic. So whoever gets him, they're going to help him in the long run. But yeah, I think I'd go with Charlotte right now.
Yeah, I think when it comes to on-court product, I think that Charlotte would be the best destination for him out of those 4 teams because of, like you said, LaMelo Ball. And Charlotte's needed a big for like the longest time. They drafted Kai Jones. They drafted Mark Williams over the past couple of years. And these are guys who stepped in and been solid this season. Mark Williams had a good stretch of late. But, of course, Victor Wembanyama, moves the needle so much more than those guys ever would. And he might not come in and even play the true 5 on a team. He might, run with another center because he's a floor spacer and he can operate from the perimeter. So it will be interesting to see where Wembanyama lands because I think that is a possibility where, of course, he'll run the 5 in some lineups. But I think that maybe a team, tries to put him alongside another, paint defender because I don't think Victor Wembanyama is a great paint defender. I don't think that that's really in his bag because of his frame, especially at this point. But, of course, with him being 7'4" and having a crazy long wingspan, he's going to be a great rim protector. So he's got that in his arsenal.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch if him at the 4 be able to play on the perimeter and not being restricted to the paint. Yeah, that'd be something to watch.
Yeah. We'll have more draft talk, of course, after the season ends. So bottom dwellers, just hold tight for a couple more months, and then your time will come. Trust me. So we get to this next tier, and these are the teams competing for the play-in. This is my biggest tier, so I'm just going to go ahead and let you have it with this one. I've got, out of the Eastern Conference for this tier, I've got Washington, I've got Atlanta, I've got Toronto, I've got Indiana, and I've got Chicago. Those are my 5 teams competing for a play-in spot. And in the Western Conference, You've got Utah, Portland, the Lakers, and the Thunder. Oh, and another team. I missed a team. This team is currently over. They're in the top 6 in the Eastern Conference, but I have Brooklyn in this as well because of the trades that they made, and they'll probably fall off with their roster turnover.
Yeah, we have the same ones.
Exact same.
I can
Let me ask you this. Let's say let's go Eastern Conference first. Out of these, I guess it's 6 teams. Yeah, 6 teams here. Who do you think who do you think would be the team that would provide the biggest challenge for a team if they were to win the play-in and make the playoffs in a first-round series? Like going up, they'll have to go up against like Boston or Milwaukee, and there won't be much of a chance. But out of these teams, Washington, Atlanta, Toronto, Indiana, Chicago, and Brooklyn, who do you think gives the most trouble to a team like that at the top at this point?
Ooh, it's hard. I've lost all faith in Chicago. I think I'd have to go either Brooklyn or Toronto.
Why is that?
Because I guess the Brooklyn has a lot of 3-and-D guys. So like Mikal, Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith. So they could cause some problems defensively for teams. They probably won't be able to score a whole lot with I guess their main guy being Spencer Dinwiddie. But they could cause some problems defensively for the top teams, such as the top teams that have good wings. Toronto, the same reason. I guess they were in the playoffs last year. I think we were both kind of high on them this year, and it's not been great. I won't say high, but had good hopes for them. But same reason. They have basically the same team. It's just their offense has not been good this year.
Yep. I am actually of the belief that Toronto is about to go on a run. I think Toronto is going to go on a run towards the end of the season. I do.
I can't see it. I can see it, but
it's interesting to me that they were buyers at the deadline instead of sellers. I think that they're maybe putting off the inevitable just a little while longer, with them picking up Jakob Poeltl and not dishing any of their guys away. I think that they have the makeup. I'm not saying that they'll beat one of those top teams, but I think that they have the best makeup out of any of those teams there, especially in a play-in like scenario.
yeah.
I think the only team there that could potentially give them trouble in the play-in is Brooklyn and maybe Atlanta. And who knows with Atlanta at this point?
Yeah.
What do you think about Atlanta at this point, Jacob?
I kind of wanted to have Atlanta, like, not to tear up, but have them as one of the teams that could cause, some problems. But I don't know. It's just maybe the coaching change will help, but they didn't look like they wanted to play for most of the season. And I know Trey struggled some, but it didn't look very promising. So, like, they can either win a playing game or they could lose and be out completely. I wouldn't be surprised with either one. But yeah, I agree. Toronto might be the best out of that group, but I think it just depends on how they play.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question too: who do you think should be the next coach of the Atlanta Hawks?
Personally, the best option might be Ime Udoka because we saw what he did last year with Boston. I don't know if they would do that, or maybe Quinn Snyder. They need somebody that can figure out how to play DeJounte and Trey. They can play. We've seen they can play good together, but actually utilizing them very well and kind of develop guys. And I guess he'll find a better, role for John Collins. But I think Ime would probably be the best option right now.
Yeah, Ime would be a great get for any team. He's got his thing with Boston, but that was enforced by the Celtics organization. It wasn't an NBA thing, so he'd be able to step in and coach at end.
And I think Boston made Joe Mazzulla feel like officially their coach. So I think he can go wherever now or anything.
Yeah, and I know that Atlanta has kind of been in accelerated talks with Quinn Snyder, from what we've heard from Shams today.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I saw something. Maybe it was cryptic. Maybe it wasn't. Trae Young posting up in a Steve Nash jersey at his house. Did you see that?
That
He,
it would.
he posted like a couple pictures in a Steve Nash jersey, like right after Nick McMillan got fired. So take that as you will.
If
But
Steve Nash coaches again, it needs to be as an assistant, or it doesn't need to be a head coach.
yeah, it is a thing that Atlanta's offense has declined this year, and I think that Steve Nash could, help with that, step in and help with that. But Atlanta is in a weird spot right now where they've got a franchise player. They just made a big trade to acquire DeJounte Murray. They've got solid pieces around. Their depth isn't great. And I was watching a Kenny video today. Kenny was talking about, owners and luxury tax and what championship contending teams usually have owners who are willing to spend money.
Yeah.
Outside of the DeJounte Murray trade, Atlanta dished Kevin Huerter to get under the luxury tax. They dished DeLon Wright to save money. And I don't even remember the name of their owner, but their ownership has not done a very good job of surrounding Trae Young with a competent 9-10 man rotation here.
Yeah.
He's got solid pieces, but it is an interesting thing to see, and I think that it could lead to Trae Young, potentially requesting a trade in the next.
That's all I'm asking.
I think it's possible.
Where do you? I'll say where do you think he would go, but it's too early. Yeah. If I was gonna say the next, I'll say 2 to 3 years. If it's like no improvement, like still kind of play in range, then I think he requests a trade.
Yeah, it'd be understandable. That's Let's go to the West, because you've got Utah, you've got Portland, you've got OKC, and the Lakers, who aren't necessarily teams competing for a playoff spot yet, but they're just trying to get in the play-in. Out of these four, who do you think is the most suited to give the top teams in the West a challenge out of these four Western Conference teams?
Lakers, if healthy, they'd probably be the best option.
That's the easy answer. The Lakers are obviously the easy answer. Yeah. I don't think that either of the other three teams, put up much of a challenge at all. I think Portland's got a little bit of experience, but they're not competing at all with Denver or Phoenix at this point. They're not beating Memphis or Golden State, so it's not even. It would be the Lakers, with the acquisitions that they made with Anthony Davis potentially, getting healthy before the playoffs start. It would be the Lakers, but the Lakers have to make quite a push to get there. The Lakers are sitting at the 13th seed currently, so they've got a ways to go. They're at the lowest position of those four teams, but I do think that roster-wise, they are the best by far.
They would have to. I'm not sure if they won the night or not. They won the night. They would have to. It's like win 16 out of the next 24 or something, but that's like I think that's not playing. I think that's just playoff.
Yeah, that'd be like 16.
Yeah. If they can get to the play-in, which I think they will, at least the 10 seed, they can win a play-in game to get to that. I guess 7th or 8th, wherever they finish. I can have confidence they can win to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, it would be the Lakers out of that group. I do agree.
I'm not gonna say they can compete with the top teams, but I don't think it'd be like a sweep. They might get 1 or 2, depending on who they play.
Yeah, I just want to see LeBron in the playoffs again too.
Yeah.
I guess it's technically only been 1 year, but that year they played Phoenix in the first round. He didn't have Anthony Davis, so it was kind of a wash. On to the next tier. This is the tier of the teams that are pretty solid playoff locks, but not necessarily contenders. The teams that sit from like the 4 to like 7 range, maybe not even put a number next to it, but teams who we are confident will make the playoffs, but won't compete for the championship. Here on this tier for me, I have 7 teams. I'll give you my Western Conference teams first. I have the New Orleans Pelicans on this tier. I've got the Minnesota Timberwolves here. I've got the Sacramento Kings here. And I've got Dallas on this tier. I've got Dallas here. My Eastern Conference teams, I've got the New York Knicks here. I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers here. And I've got Miami. Those are the teams I've got on this tier. How about you, Jacob? What do you got?
Yeah, I think I have I have those same ones except I'm kind of stuck between Cleveland and Miami because I want to believe in those teams, but to have a chance to compete, like contend, but I guess with the ones above them, I don't know if I do that. Miami, we talked about this recently. I might put some faith in Miami to do something, but
I toyed with putting him A tier because there's a team that I put A tier that probably should belong in B tier, but because of their past resume as a team that turns it up in the playoffs, I had to put them in the A tier. And I thought about doing the same for Miami, but just the fact that they didn't make any real deadline moves outside of getting Kevin Lowe off the buyout market, which I told you I thought was a good move for them. I just don't know. I just don't know if they're good enough to even give one of those top two or maybe even 3 or 4 Eastern Conference teams a run. I think that they could beat Cleveland. I told you I do think that they could beat Cleveland. Philly would be tough. Philly would be tough for them to beat, and I don't think that they would beat Boston or Milwaukee.
Yeah.
I don't think they would.
I don't think they can make it out of the first round. I think that's probably it's a toss-up between them and Cleveland. I think it'd go to 7. Obviously, we know how Miami plays in the playoffs, and Cleveland is still relatively young, playoff-wise, besides Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. It's just their depth scares me. They don't have a lot of good pieces like Cleveland could have, that rotational pieces in the playoffs. And I guess size. Like Miami has Bam, but then Cleveland has Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably keep him here like you did, just because I don't think they're teams that we could say could confidently make a run in the finals.
Yeah. The other Eastern Conference team here is the Knicks. I put the Knicks here. I like the Knicks. I like the way that the Knicks play. Do you think that the Knicks could potentially give a team like your Sixers potentially trouble in the first round?
I think they could give us trouble. I don't think it'd be like Game 7 trouble, probably maybe in 6. I do like how they play. Jalen Brunson's been on a tear lately. But they could give a top team some fits. I don't think it'd be, like I said, 7-game series fits. But when they're hot, they're hot. They play really well, especially if RJ's making shots whenever that happens. But I do like the Knicks, but I don't see them even really just competing because they're more than likely play us or Milwaukee. So I don't know. I really don't see them competing a whole lot either in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Knicks could potentially be the 5 seed. I think that they fall either at the 5 or the 6. If they're the 6, I think they play Philly at the 3. And if they end up being the 5, they could play Cleveland. They could play Cleveland in the first round. And a Knicks-Cavs series, I don't know if I'd like to take the Cavs. I'd like to think I would take the Cavs.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like the Knicks kind of match up well against the Cavs, but the Cavs do well. They've got some good on point of attack defenders. I do think that obviously the Cavs win the guard matchup, but I think that the Cavs win the glass. I do think the Cavs win the glass, but I think everything else like turnovers and points off turnovers, fast break points, I think that actually goes towards New York. So I think that would be an interesting series.
Yeah, I think I would take Cleveland, but I wouldn't be. Yeah, it'd be an interesting series. That's a matchup that you could say is well-rounded to fit each other play wise.
Yeah. So on to the Western Conference for this tier. I was kind of surprised you had Dallas on this tier. Dallas is on this not yet contending tier for you. Why is that?
It's really their I guess their defense, but I'm gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if they got put out. Think I wouldn't be surprised if they got put out second round, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got to the Western Conference either, the Western Conference Finals, because they have Luka. Huh?
Let me ask you this: would you be surprised if they got put out first round by a team like Golden State?
No, not like not against Golden State. I wouldn't be. Uh, it's just their supporting cast because like we know what Luka could do. We saw that last year in the playoffs, and then you add Kyrie. So offensively, that is great. They compete with anybody. It's just the defense. Like who's going to stop the Stephs, the Clays on Golden State, Phoenix with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Jokic if they play Phoenix. So I just don't defensively. I don't see them really being able to make it that far again.
Yeah. Let me rephrase that question because I probably should have asked you more generally. Take Golden State out of it. Would it surprise you if Dallas lost in the first round in general with the acquisition of Kyrie?
I want to say yes, but I'm trying to think who they play first round.
I don't even know what seed. I'm sure they're around like the 5 seed right now or something like that.
I'd say yes and no. I'm trying to pull up the standings. I'll say yes because I think Luka and Kyrie can get them at least one round, like one series win. It just depends on who they match up with. That's why it's hard to say.
Yeah, I don't think that this current
standings how the.
Well, I don't think that this is the Dallas team that we'll see like at the end of this experiment, putting Kyrie alongside Luka. And, Kyrie can walk in the offseason. But if Kyrie decides to stay, I think that there's another piece that they'll have to add to really, be a real championship contender. I guess they kind of fit that one piece away mold right now. Whether it be a wing who's a great defender, like even a guy like Jaden McDaniels who's having a great season as a perimeter defender, or if it's like a big, like it doesn't even have to be anybody like really, really stand out. Like even like a Mitchell Robinson type, like a Zubac type, something like that, where they just rebound, they play good defense, which is something that Dallas, of course, like you said, has been lacking. So, and they haven't had Maxi Kleber all season either. So it would be interesting to see what Maxi Kleber looks like when he comes back, hopefully before the playoffs start.
Yeah.
And I know that he provides a little bit of stretchability from that position, and he can provide some interior defense. But yeah, Dallas is going to sit here for me.
I'll say they're currently the 6th seed, so
they play Sacramento.
They play Sacramento, but assuming they fall off, it'd be like the Clippers or Phoenix.
Yeah, I'd pick either the Clippers or Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah. These other 3 teams here, though. I guess these other 3 teams here. Do you think that either the Timberwolves, the Kings, or the Pelicans could win a first-round series?
The Pelicans, if healthy, I think they can.
They would be going up against one of the top teams in the Western Conference at this point because they're like 500 on the dot right now.
Yeah.
I thought about putting them in my lower tier just because of, their fall off lately and their injury troubles.
I'll say no, but Sacramento maybe.
You would like to think that.
I would like to think that, but I don't think they're going to play a team like Minnesota in the first round. That Cat's been hurt most of the year. Yeah, I don't think any of those teams can get out the first round. Would like to see it, but I don't think it happens.
You know what I think is going to happen, which sucks for Sacramento? I think Sacramento is going to get matched up against Golden State in the first round.
And what? 3?
And a 3-6 or like a 4-5, something like that.
That Ooh. That sucks. Yeah, that sucks them.
Yeah. And even if it was like a 4-5, it would be like Dallas or Phoenix, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm not giving Sacramento the edge over those teams. Sacramento's had a great season, but baby steps. You made the playoffs. You're back, hopefully a little bit at least. So
Yeah.
you're headed in the right direction. On to this next to last tier. These are the fringe contenders. These are teams who could make a title run, but aren't like the top of the line.
Yeah.
I have 4 teams here. There are 3 Western Conference teams, and there's 1 Eastern Conference team. I think you know who the Eastern Conference team is. It's your 76ers. They're my Eastern Conference team here. And out of the Western Conference, I have Golden State on this tier. I've got the Clippers on this tier, and I have Memphis on this tier. Those are the 3 Western Conference teams I have here. Who do you have on this tier, Jacob?
I have the Sixers, I have the Grizzlies, and I have the Clippers.
No Golden State. Interesting. So, your Sixers, let's talk about them, because I know that you would like to think they can really compete with the top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, and they probably can at the end of the day. They can definitely be a team that gives them trouble in a playoff series. But ultimately, you are of the belief that Boston and Milwaukee are just a smidge higher.
Yeah, I'll give them the edge, the smidge, because the main thing, which you already know, is the coaching.
That's what I was going to ask. How did the Sixers get better then? How did they, get to that higher level?
I would need. We're going to be stuck with Doc Rivers. I think I've told you this. If we're fully healthy, and more than likely the second round, we're going to either see Boston or Milwaukee. If we're fully healthy, I think we can win a series. It really just depends on health and I guess how James Harden shows up, which he's had trouble in the past, but he's been really good this year. Like I said, I think either team we play, I think it would go to 7. I wouldn't be surprised if we win. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose. But I do give the edge to Boston and Milwaukee right now.
Yeah. And, the Sixers have been really hot over the past, month and a half. They've been playing some really good basketball. Of course, they have the toughest schedule left in the NBA.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the 3rd seed right now. So it'll be interesting to see if they fall. And maybe like Cleveland passes them. And the Sixers get matched up on that 4-5 line against a team like Miami, maybe.
Yeah.
Or like I mentioned with the Knicks. I would choose Philly in that first round series. But then the second round, that would put them up against Boston most likely. So you're right there again.
Yeah, so I think if it plays out like how it probably will, Philly would have to play one of Boston or Milwaukee the second round, and then the other in the conference finals.
Which is a murderer's road.
Yeah. So like I said, healthy, which I'm not counting on 100%. But if healthy, I think it'd be both of those series. It wouldn't be. The other wouldn't just dominate Philadelphia.
Yeah. Now Philadelphia definitely poses they're good. They have good matchups for those teams. I'd like to pick up of Jaden McDaniels. I think that he can be. Jalen McDaniels, my bad. He can be a good, perimeter defender if they have to go up against the Celtics.
Yeah.
And he won't stop Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but maybe to slow him down a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the Bucks, throw another body with him at Giannis.
Yeah. I'd want to see us Philadelphia play Milwaukee. I think that'd be a fun series because I don't think they played in the playoffs. That would be a fun series to watch 7 games.
Yeah, the X factor is going to be PJ Tucker.
Yeah.
I don't, of course, regular season PJ Tucker. You see him, do his thing. Shoot corner threes, and he plays good defense. But in the playoffs, he reaches another level.
He's gonna be.
He has the Giannis assignment for
he's going to be the best player.
Jason Tatum assignment for a 7-game series.
Yeah.
He's going to be locked on that player for every minute of every game.
And he is smaller, but he can irritate you. He's very good. We've seen in the past. So
right, the Bucks title run.
Great. So I think it'd be a fun for either series, but he's gonna guard the best player. So then you got to worry about the secondary stars and how you guard them.
Yeah. These Western Conference teams here, I guess, we'll leave Golden State since you haven't mentioned them yet. So we've got Memphis and the Clippers here. Let's talk about the Clippers first. the Clippers had a pretty busy trade deadline, picking up Bones Highland, picking up Eric Gordon, and then picking up Russell Westbrook off the buyout market. So they've made some moves, and they have like 12 players who they could potentially put in their rotation right now. They have all the depth in the world. Do you think that the Clippers, and of course it will come down to health with them as it always does, and we like to think best case scenario here. So healthy Clippers team, are they worthy of being in that top tier? Are they worthy?
Guaranteed healthy?
Yeah.
I would say yes. But I'd say yeah.
Think so?
I think I'd say yeah.
I know that I've asked this question to you over the past couple of months, but I'm going to do it again at this point of the season. Could they compete with Denver?
I think they can compete with them.
Think so?
Fully healthy, yes.
Do you think they could compete with Phoenix?
I'll say yeah. Actually, yeah, I'll say yeah.
And you have Golden State on the top line. So do you think that they could compete with Golden State?
Yeah, fully healthy. I think they can compete with anybody in the West. Fully healthy. Like if nobody's getting injured, I think they can compete with anybody in the West.
You see, I'm kind of shaking with the Clippers right now. I could probably confidently say that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'd say
they made some moves at the trade deadline. I don't know about the Clippers anymore. They brought in some kind of very hit or miss players.
yeah.
Like Bones Highland is so hit or miss. Russell Westbrook is insanely hit or miss. And these are guys who Russell Westbrook will probably be the starting point guard.
Yes, I think he is starting. Yeah.
And Bones Highland will be like one of the first people they bring off the bench. I'm just thinking about, even if they are healthy, I'm thinking about the consistency of the team. I didn't think that they should have let go of Luke Kennard. I didn't think that they should have done that.
I didn't like that either. I think he got out of the rotation toward like before the trade deadline. That really took off on the not now.
Yeah, you replace him with Eric Gordon, but Eric Gordon is kind of a streaky shooter.
Yeah, like I said, I can see why, because lately they haven't been as, like you said, they've got people that are hit or miss. But like I said, fully healthy, I think I could be confident in Kawhi and Paul George to be able to compete with anybody.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just undervaluing Kawhi Leonard. It's been how many ever years since we've seen him really in the postseason do what he does. So that's enough Clipper talk, though. Memphis is here. I think Memphis is pretty securely on this tier as for right now. They didn't really do anything at the trade deadline big. Of course, they brought in Luke Kennard, but I don't think that moves the needle for Memphis, really.
Yeah.
I think Memphis will win a first-round series, but if they have to go up against like the Suns or the Nuggets or the Clippers or Golden State, that's 4 teams. So you're most likely going to have to play one of those teams in the second round, if not the first round. I don't think I can favor Memphis. I don't think I can, just because of they've got their guys who play well. They play so well at home, but man, they're just young. They're just young and inexperienced. That's just what it comes down to.
That's like the thing I've been watching. Like I watch standings a lot. Like I keep up with it. I look at it almost every day. Golden State could end up playing one of those top teams in the first round. It could be in Memphis or Denver, Sacramento, whoever. So yeah, so that's the way it's going, they could end up. I'd be confident in Memphis against the other ones, but if they end up playing Golden State, I'm going Golden State.
I don't want to think about Golden State Denver in the first round. That needs to be like a conference finals matchup.
Yeah, this is why I've set Golden State. Well, we'll get to it, but that's why I've kind of set Golden State higher.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Top tier. I'm assuming that you have Golden State and 4 other teams up there.
Yeah.
Those four other teams are Milwaukee, Boston, Denver, and Phoenix.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Golden State then, because I have Golden State on the tier below.
Oh, yeah.
Why I put them there is, they're still hovering around 500. It doesn't look like they found it yet, but it sounds like you have them on this top tier because you think they're going to get hot. Is that true?
Yeah, because they've had players kind of in and out all year. Steph's had his injuries. I know Wiggins missed a lot of time. Um, I know it did hurt them. They let go like Gary Payton the second, which they got back. They let some good depth guys go and try to play the young guys. Like they tried to play Wiseman when they had them, Kuminga, Moody. But I think in a 7-game series, we saw what they did to Denver last year. How they made Jokic switch on the Steph in the pick and roll and just kind of look for him on matchups defensively. And if they're healthy, they can do that to almost any team. They can find that mixed match with Curry or Clay. And they have like Wiggins, he can guard some of the wings in the West or the players in the West, but I just think they can compete with anybody if healthy, which they've been struggling with all year.
Yeah. My only thing is it's just getting late. It's getting late in the season, and usually, they have it kind of a little bit figured out at this point. And maybe they do, like you said, they've had guys in and out of the lineup, so that definitely has a part to play in it. But I am still a little concerned. I'm just a little concerned with the Warriors still at this point.
If they can,
and I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, I'll say if they can get healthy, which, like I said, it's been people in and out. But if they can get healthy, that starting five, I think, is still the best in the NBA when they're all healthy. Of Steph, Clay, Wiggins, I think Draymond and Looney. If they can get healthy, I say a few weeks before the playoffs and kind of play together, I think they could cause matchups for anybody.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other two Western Conference teams, though. You've got Phoenix, who, of course, with the acquisition of Kevin Durant, is vaulted back up into this top tier. With this acquisition, Jacob, do you think that Phoenix is officially ready to compete with Denver? Ultimately, I think that Denver is the safe and sound first. They're the best team in the West. Do you think that they are ready to compete with the Denver Nuggets?
I think yes. If you'd asked me this a few weeks ago, I'd definitely not. But with them getting KD, it changes the trajectory of your team. Yeah, I think the X factor would be Chris Paul, in my opinion, for Phoenix. How he plays, how he can play make and score. I think he had games last year he didn't miss a shot. Against New Orleans. Yeah, I think they can compete with Denver. I'd probably still lean Denver, but they could definitely make a run in the West.
Yeah. It is an interesting thing. I saw a stat the other day that the teams who win the finals ultimately have like a top 10 defensive rating, like almost like over 90% of the time. Denver's not a team that does that. Denver
Is it top 10 offense and defense or just defense?
Just defense. Denver just out offense you. They out offenses you.
Yeah.
They have they're in like the teens for like defense. They're like 17th, 18th for defense, I think. Yeah. But they have the best offense in the league, pretty much. Maybe Sacramento does, but they're right there at the top. So Denver, they can keep that up. I think that they will keep that up.
Like I said, I'd lean Denver, but I think it'd go to 7 for sure. It'd come to the end.
Yeah. Eastern Conference. If you would have asked me a couple weeks ago who my favorite was to come out of the East, I would say the Boston Celtics. The way the Bucks have looked lately, and with the addition of Jay Crowder, the Bucks are my new favorite in the Eastern Conference. They're my favorite now. The Bucks were my 2 for like the entire year, but the Bucks are my number 1 now. The acquisition of Jay Crowder, how they've played. Brook Lopez has been great this season. He's been really, really good.
Yeah.
And they've got Joe Ingles back now. Javon Carter has been really good for them. I think they're ready for another title run. I do. As long as everybody's on the floor, they're ready.
Yeah, I would probably lean Milwaukee too. Because I know you said last year you would have went with Milwaukee would have won if Chris Middleton played. I think we both agree on that. He froze.